Dispatchers help callers on the worst days of their lives. For over 25 years, we've been there. A silent partner in millions of calls thanks to our redundant and diverse networks that ensure call delivery. Today, cities are bigger, traffic more congested, and the challenge is more complex. But you're never alone, because InDigital is quietly improving, implementing, and driving the next generation of 911, so you're supported in every situation. Make the switch at indigital.net.
If Within the Trenches has ever taught you something, open your eyes to what it is like to be a 911 dispatcher, or has inspired you to become one, then help support us and join our Patreon. Get exclusive bonus content, one-of-a-kind swag, discounts on merchandise, ad-free early access to new episodes, and much more. To join, please visit patreon.com/WTT podcast. And if you're an industry partner, we have something for you as well. And now, for the show.
This is Jordan, and you're listening to the Code 7 Podcast Network.
Warning. This episode contains the 3 A's of podcasting: adult content, adult language, and awesomeness. You've been warned.
Welcome to Within the Trenches, true stories from the 911 dispatchers who live them.
Hey, what's going on? This is Ricardo with the Code 7 Podcast Network, and this is going to be Within the Trenches, true stories from the 911 dispatchers who live them. This episode is sponsored by InDigital, a leader in next-gen core services, and a big shout-out, as always, to subscribers of the podcast, whether you are on Patreon, Circle, or Facebook. Thank you for everything. We are currently live out here at Atlantic APCO 2024. We're in the vendor hall right now, so you probably hear some people in the background and such. They're going to be doing some giveaways here shortly, but been here all week, did the keynote yesterday. It was awesome. And my guest today is Tenisha, and she is out of Cumberland County Regional Communications out of Maine. How's it going?
It's going good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Luckily, this is Eastern time.
Yep.
So I'm happy about that,
That's
because usually I'm in other time zones, and by the time I get used to that time zone, it's already time to come back, and I'm screwed up all over the place. So
Oh, yeah. No, that can suck. But yeah, no, Eastern time's the best.
yes, it is. It is the best. So, how is this your first time here at this conference?
It is. I'm a first timer. Yeah. So this is like my training-ish kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Have you been enjoying some of the classes you've been going to and such?
Oh my God, yeah. So like today I did 4 rules of dark humor.
Mm-hmm.
I love dark humor. That's me all day.
Yeah.
And then yesterday we did your class, which is phenomenal.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. And just still learning all the things. Can't wait for more classes. So I'm excited.
Awesome. So we were talking a little bit earlier before we got started, and you were saying that you've got 2 months in.
2 months. But let me tell you, I'm like the unofficial shitstorm of my dispatch. 2 months, and I've had all the calls.
The shit magnet.
All the things.
You
Yeah.
are that person.
I am that person.
How dare you?
I know. And it's, I don't know. I don't know what to take that as a compliment or
Right. Yeah. You're like, thanks. Do
I'm
I get an
getting all
award?
of
Do I
this
get free lunch?
experience, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
You know, it was like I was saying, right, in
Yeah.
the beginning yesterday, if 911 was like a gang, sometimes it feels like you're getting beat in.
And I'm
Yeah.
getting beat bad. I'm not going to lie.
Yes. Oh, man. No, I feel you. So you got 2 months in,
Mhm.
but how did you get into dispatch to begin with? Do you come from a family of public safety, or did you just kind of like randomly see it and you're like, yeah, I think I want to try this?
Yeah. No. None of my family is in public safety. Wait, no. Well, my aunt is, but
Yeah.
no, I've just been doing communications and customer service pretty much all my life. And it's kind of, I wouldn't say the same thing, but like conflict management and things like that. So I'm originally from Memphis, Tennessee. I lived in New Orleans for probably about 6 years. And that's where all of that experience truly came from for me, because I worked in a hotel, worked night shift, and it was so much crap. That's the shit story. That's the shitstorm, the armpit of America, ladies and gentlemen, New Orleans.
The
but
armpit of America. I like that.
That's what they say. That's what they say. It did not come from me, so don't quote me.
I know, right?
I don't want to start anything.
I know.
Yeah, but yeah, there was so much stuff. Like sometimes you find dead people, and then I'd have to figure out how to call the cops to get that dead person out of the room.
What?
Or a shooting, or I was at one point not on trial, but I did a statement where things at the hotel were kind of turning upside down. So it's not the same thing, but definitely a shitstorm.
Right. Yeah. You're basically kind of dealing with some of the same
kind of the
like
same
types,
situations,
right? The time situations, same type of calls. And so I have this question then. Do you feel like what you were doing there at the hotel, in a way, kind of prepared you for some of the stuff you were going to be taking on the phone?
In a way, yeah. Now that I think about it and I go back to it, I'm like, wow, that all is coming together. It's making sense. So, yeah. So instead of being in the front line of it, I'm like behind the scenes on the phone, and I can just be like, all right, cool. Next caller.
Does it ever feel kind of weird, though, that you're not technically hands-on?
It does feel weird because then like you don't know what happened, because I used to be like in the front end of it, and I'm like, all right, so this is gonna happen, like I'm in control at that point, when I was in New Orleans, and now I'm just not, and it's just like, wow, that is very, very different. It
is definitely a different thing. There's a lot of people that I've spoken to on this program where they've also come from other disciplines of public safety.
Yeah.
And for example, I had someone that I worked with who was EMS and volunteer fire.
Yeah.
And when he got into dispatch, he would like say certain things, and I would like kind of pick up my head and then afterwards talk to him and say, those are different protocols, dude. Like we got to run by hours. I know that that's what he's like. Well, that's how we did it out in the field. I'm like, you're not in the field.
It's not the same thing.
Like, this is a different field. Like we are inside now.
Yeah, and that has been like kind of conditioned within me, or told to me within the last 2 months. Like you go to these trainings, and then people are like doing the EMS type of protocol. You're like, it's not the same.
Right.
It's not the same.
And the other reason I ask about if you felt like it prepared you too is because I had mentioned yesterday that I had managed a few stores, and one of them was a retail store, and I would have people come in and they would be pissed because of their like discount code or whatever. They're like, I didn't get my discount. You're like, yeah, actually you did. This was already, but this one was already on sale, so you can't get the discount on it. Yeah, the sign is right there. And, oh, dude.
Sorry, bro.
Yeah, people would be upset. So I kind of feel like that, in a sense, like any customer service, I think can definitely assist with that.
Yeah.
How long was the process, like the hiring process, interview and all of that stuff? What was it that you had to go through?
So we did the sit-down interview, but even before that, the background check is like completely extensive. It's like, I don't know if I should just give this away, but it's like CIA almost. It's like, what did you do in kindergarten? Like, did you flip a chair? Why did you flip that chair?
Right.
Are you going to lie about flipping that chair? Like, have you ever robbed a bank? Have you ever thought about robbing a bank? And it's like, maybe once I thought about it. And then
I saw this movie and I don't know.
Yeah, and then you have like, you're hooked up to the lie detector and everything like that. And I'm like, they make you feel like you are lying. Like at one point I was just like sweating and I just started to cry, and I'm like, this is intense. Yeah. But I mean, so you have to go through that, and then like there's this interview where it's like 4 or 5 people just shooting things at you, and it is like you said in your presentation the other day. It's kind of like, how quick are you on your feet?
Right.
How quick are you? Like, oh my gosh, she's answering all these questions. She might be, and I don't think that I did that great. Just like I'm like, oh, that sounded great.
Right.
That sounded so good.
Yeah.
I'm literally firing off all these like answers to them, and it's like, oh wow, I hope I didn't bomb. And then like just like you said, okay, so we'll hear back from you. And you're like, crap.
Right. It's like, oh no, I screwed it up.
God.
I screwed up. Oh my God, what am I doing?
Yeah.
So how long did it take before you heard that you ended up getting positioned?
Maybe within a month or so. It wasn't terrible.
But either way, like a month is long enough where it's like
a month or so.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So then you hear that you're going to be in this profession. You're
Mhm.
going to go in. What was that like? Did you get a chance to do a sit along or anything like that?
I did. I did do a sit along. Actually, I applied for this job maybe about 2.5 years ago. But my life then didn't really pan out to fully engulf myself in this. So came back, life changes, did this again, and the sit along was like just 10 times better. And I was just like, no, this is exactly what I want to do. Like,
Nice.
I'm on the right path now. My life is all trajectory to this. So, yeah, I'm all in. It was awesome.
I love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's always those moments when you get in there, whether it's when you do the sit along in the beginning or when it's you're in training or something happens.
Yeah.
Whether it be a phone call you've heard, or that
Mhm.
you've taken, or just something interaction with those that you're in there with,
Yeah.
and that you get that moment. You're like,
Yeah, you
this
do.
is where I'm supposed to
This
be.
is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. Yeah, helping people on the front line,
That's
but not
right.
really on the front line anymore. But yeah.
Right. Yeah. There's something about dispatch that, or maybe even public safety in general, but I always hear from people in dispatch that it just gets into your blood and it gets into your blood
It's
quickly.
addicting.
Yes.
Have you ever heard, like, it's really addicting?
A lot of people have said that. Yes. With the helping of people and then
Yeah.
others as well that add like, it's an adrenaline rush.
Yes.
And I've told people in the past that dispatch sometimes, like to me, I would tell people it's like getting in a car, slamming the gas pedal, and like letting go of the steering wheel. Like it's intense.
It is intense.
Yes.
And you're like, oh my God, who can I help next? Like,
Right.
who can I be there for next? Yeah. So I love that feeling.
So you've got these 2 months in. You've been going through your training, which you're still in training right now, right? Because
Yes.
how long is the training program?
It's like 16-ish or so weeks. So you start on the fire side because we
Yeah.
have two, fire and PD. So you start on the fire side and then you transition to PD. Right now I'm still currently on the fire side.
Yeah.
So yeah, still learning all the things.
Exciting, right?
Like I said in the beginning, I'm the shitstorm. I've had a hell of a first week when I first started. So yeah, to say the least.
So what are some of the calls, if you feel comfortable sharing?
Yeah.
What are some of the calls, like just right off the bat in the beginning, some of those first ones, whether it be the very first one or just some of the earlier ones that are, I guess, even kind of memorable already? Because, like you saying,
Yeah.
you're a shitstorm. So what have you been hit with?
Well, I think the first week I had like 3 structure fires in just the first week. But I think going into this, I was more nervous to get like kid calls.
Oh, for sure. Right.
The very first day, I got 2.
The very first day you were on phones, you got
first
2?
day, I got 2. And I was like, oh, this is just awesome. Like the first one was like very traumatic.
Yeah.
You could hear a lot of things in the background. And I don't know, like that one didn't truly shake me as much. I don't know why. But the last one, right before I was about to clock out for the day, this kid, he was locked in the bathroom with his siblings. It was a domestic violence or disturbance kind of situation. He was just so calm. He knew his address. He knew his mom's birthday. And I don't know, like that really struck me and they always say like kid callers will be your most cooperative callers, but I just didn't fully get that until that moment. And it truly hit me when I hung up the phone and I was like, do not get off the phone with me until you physically see an officer. And then I'd know that you're safe.
Right.
And he did. He's like, I can see the officer now. And I was like, okay, so now I'm going to let you go, okay? And you hung up and I'm like engulfed with all this emotion. I'm like, holy shit, that kid is amazing.
Right.
Like,
Isn't it the craziest thing that, and by the way, you just gave me goosebumps because for real, no,
Yeah.
you are correct.
Yeah.
It's the craziest thing that kids are the best callers.
They really are.
And maybe it's because just, in the beginning, like they're always looking, to an adult or
Yeah.
a voice to help guide them
to
and
help
everything.
guide them in the
But-
stressed out situation.
Yes. But adults, you get adults calling in and they're like,
Aren't they loony?
you're not going to tell me what to do,
You're like, okay, calm
like,
down.
but I'm trying to help you. And
yeah, I'm
I
really
think
trying to help you right now.
I think that's one of the things is that, especially when people are calling in their, basically living their nightmare, it's like you just forget everything.
Yeah.
And you're listening the best as possible, but you're also going through all this stuff. And Yeah, I always enjoyed taking kid calls,
Hmm.
but when it was like traumatic shit, that was going on, or like
Yeah.
a medical.
Oh,
Oh
oh
my
my
God.
gosh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Those were some of the hard ones, especially I will never forget one of the calls that I took was it was a kid that was choking. But when I picked up the phone,
Wow.
all I heard right off the bat was, and I got all the information, and
Yeah.
what it was like mom was slamming his back because he was
Oh my
choking on like a piece of
gosh.
candy, I think
Right,
it
right,
was.
right.
And I was telling her, because like it says in our protocol, like don't hit their
Don't hit
back
the
because it
back.
could get lodged even
Yeah.
deeper or something. So I'm trying to tell her, and I will
Mhm.
never forget her yelling at me and saying, "What do you want me to do? Let my kid fucking choke and die?" And I'm like, "Ma'am,
Oh.
no, that is
Yeah,
not
that's
what I'm
not.
trying to help you." So I was helping her through, doing the Heimlich, and
Yeah.
he ended up getting it out.
Oh,
And then she was like, "Thank you," and I said, "You're welcome." She's
You're
like, I'm
welcome.
sorry for what I said. I said, hey, you know what? This is your kid.
Yeah, this is your kid.
Yeah,
Like,
like,
like
I don't fault you for any of that.
for doing that, right? Like, you jumped into action, but like, could you do the Heimlich, please?
I know. Yes. Can you do the Heimlich for sure? So, what are some of the things as we're kind of going into the wrap up of this episode,
Yeah.
which has already been awesome already, and just sitting here talking with
Yeah.
you. What are some of the things that were kind of eye opening for you when you first got in?
Just the probably engulfment of like all the screens, like the radio ear would
Yes.
probably be just it's such a learning curve, and I don't know like who just said what on what channel,
Right, yes.
and he wants me to repeat everything that he just said back to him.
Yes.
And so it's that one would probably be more eye-opening in just the multitasking. So I'm gonna get my radio, I'm on the business line taking this call. Oh my god, I have to put you on hold because now I have a 911 call
Right.
on the 911 line, and it's like trying to figure out all of those things. Definitely very, very eye-opening to how I'm going to be treating this career in the future. Yeah.
Nice. Excellent. So I've got a couple questions for you as we go into the wrap up of this. These two last questions. One of the first one is for anyone who is kind of on the fence or kind of thinking about coming into the profession.
Yeah.
What is some advice that you have for them?
It's so hard. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
It's so hard. I think the advice would be, because I'm very hard on myself, don't be hard on yourself, because it is a very, very intense job and place to be in, but like everyone around you is tendered pretty much, and they know what they're doing. So when they tell you it's time to not like be hard on yourself, or it's okay, next call, like don't take that very seriously. Just keep going, listen to them, and just keep pushing, have that perseverance, like figure out why you are here, why do you want to be here, and if it's not for you, it's not for you, and you shouldn't have to push yourself through it if you decide you want to just say, hey, this is not for me, because it's not for everybody.
Right.
It really isn't. So yeah.
Man, I love that. So the second question, you kind of answered it already. And I asked this question to everyone, and I mentioned it yesterday, but I'm going to ask you either way.
Yep.
And maybe you could just like reiterate kind of what you said already. But
Okay.
the question is, if you could go back in time, just like a few months ago when you were first thinking about getting in, to talk to yourself, not to give yourself any advice to change anything, because obviously you've gone through a lot already, even just in these few months, to have brought you to where you're at, to who you are today. But if you could go back just those few months ago to talk to yourself, what would you tell yourself?
Are you sure you want to do this?
That's hilarious.
Are we doing this? We are really, really doing this.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right. Well, let's do it. Like, I'd be like just reassuring myself probably.
Yep. The reassurance that you've got this.
Yeah, I got this. Everyone around me, it's pepping me up. Like, you are going to get through this. It is hard. Stop being hard on yourself. So yeah, I'll take that all the way through.
Amazing. Amazing. Awesome. Well, thank you so very much for being on. This was a lot of fun and learning about you, and I see big things for you in the future. keep that.
Yeah.
Keep that fire going.
Thank you.
Yes,
I
through all of it.
appreciate it.
And if you haven't started already, and this is for anyone who's new out there or even seasoned, if you haven't started already, journal.
Yeah.
Do some journaling. Write down your wins, because when you're having shit call after shit call and so on, and you maybe even not so much forget about your why, but you start questioning, like, am I in the right place?
Yeah.
You can look back at those wins and remember all the good stuff that you've done.
That's
That's
very, very
where
true.
your impact is. So
Yeah.
there you go. Thank you again so much for being on. And those of you who are watching and listening, if you have any comments, questions, or you ever want to be a guest on the show, you can email us, and that is going to be wttpodcast@gmail.com. Once again, that is wttpodcast@gmail.com. But the easiest way to do all of this is by simply going to links.co/WTT podcast, and that's links with 2 i's.co/WTT podcast. This broadcast has been sponsored by InDigital, a Litter Next Gen Core Services, and a big shout out and thank you to Atlantic Appco for everything, for hosting the podcast, for inviting me out to be the keynote speaker. Had a lot of fun with all of you this week. You can see this on Facebook, YouTube, as well as X and LinkedIn Live. And then you can listen 24/7 on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, your favorite podcasting app, and withinthetrenches.net. Have a good one, everyone, and we will see you all in the next one.
Bye, guys.